Here is the latest on Ian Herbert Jones' capsized disaster in the South Atlantic Ocean, northeast of the Falkland Islands, in the current Golden Globe race. While the GGA crisis management team kept Ian informed of the developments in his rescue throughout the night, they were not receiving response and updates. He was, however, manually activating the acknowledgement button on his YB3 device, meaning he was conscious and informed of the latest developments, even if physically diminished. At 0647 UTC, GGR had confirmation from SAR Puerto Belgrano that a Taiwanese fishing vessel, the Zi Da Wang, 90 miles away from his position had been diverted to his position, with an ETA of 1900 UTC, the same day, earlier than the fisheries patrol boat, Lilibet, which was 300 miles to his south, which would arrive the next day. At 0842 UTC, Ian sent a message through his YB3 positioning and texting device, all received thank you, okay here tough night, trying to stay warm, shortly followed by another message at 0852, great news refishing boat, waiting first light, to clear rig. From this moment on, the GGR team knew that he was able, active in his own rescue, and aware of the effort taking place coordinated by the SAR Puerto Belgrano in Argentina, the MRCC Taiwan, as well as ETAs for the ship's arrival on his position. At 0845 UTC, GGR contacted the Search and Rescue Puerto Belgrano in charge of the rescue coordination to share the news about Ian. The officer in charge informed that a second fishing vessel, the Taiwanese flagged Fatakai, had been contacted and changed course towards Puffin with a 1700 UTC ETA. They informed the GGR that the British ship Lilibet had been released from rescue operations due to adverse weather conditions and their late ETA. The Lilibet at the time was still en route towards Puffin, but later stood down and is no longer involved in the rescue. At 10:10 UTC, Ian called the GGR from his satellite phone, confirming he had received messages and had rested. He took ibuprofen last night from his medical kit, and his back is mobile. Ian confirmed he is able to work on deck and can climb a ladder if needed. The weather had moderated significantly at Puffin, to 4 to 5 meter seas and 25 to 30 knot winds. Puffin's mast was still over the side, but not banging too much on the hull. The boom was secured on board, and there was no more water ingress in the boat from his broken cabin hatch. He has power for communication including VHF, set phone and YB3, his AIS is on and transmitting. He will test the motor later today to check if it is operational for rescue. We're all hands on deck, obviously thinking of Ian, and grateful for the international efforts to assist him. Fortunately, the situation has improved dramatically for several reasons. First, Ian is able and active in his rescue. Secondly, the weather conditions at Puffin have improved a lot, facilitating the possibility of a transfer operation, which will still be challenging, and the final decision is with the master of the fishing vessels, said Don McIntyre, the GGR founder and chairman. The GGR wished to thank the Cross, Grisnes, the UK Maritime and Coast Guard Agency, and in particular the SAR Puerto Belgrano in Argentina, who has worked tirelessly to contact vessels in Puffin's vicinity, as well as the Marine Rescue Control Center Taiwan, for their coordination and cooperation in Ian's rescue, as well as the masters and crews of the Lilibet, the MV Zi Da Wang, and the FADACAI. And YUH SHENG N Degree 1, for perpetuating the tradition of the sea in very adverse conditions. It was 1740 UTC when Ian Herbert Jones first saw the Taiwanese fishing vessel, Zi Da Wang, arriving from the north. 26 hours before, the Shropshire sailor closing the GGA fleet in the southern Atlantic was unable to make contact by sat phone. He chose to set off his EPIRB to make sure the search and rescue chain of his zone, NAVAREA 6, knew where he was and that he was facing a bad situation. Ian had been in heavy weather for a full day already but was unable to deploy his drogue as the wind intensified. Not trailing a drogue or warps made it difficult to keep Puffin's stern into the waves and avoid being rolled by the building sea. The conditions soon became overwhelming as the boat could not be held direct downwind. 2 hours later, in a southwesterly wind of 55 knots, gusting 75 knots, and 8-meter seas, Ian manually lifted the safety cover of his YB3 satellite tracking and texting device and pressed the distress alert button. This is a recognized GGA distress protocol for all entrants, suggesting something more serious had happened. In fact, at 1930 UTC, Puffin had been rolled and dismasted, and her master had hurt his back and gashed his head in the ordeal. He tried to get out and cut the rig to avoid the mast opening a hole in the hull, but conditions were too dire to finish the job. So he went inside, sorted the water ingress through a cabin hatch, and proceeded to pump the water out before resting. Meanwhile, the GGA crisis management team had made contact with the MRCC Argentina and later with the SAR Puerto Belgrano to coordinate his rescue with commercial traffic in the vicinity. It proved a challenge in the extreme conditions as commercial ships in the vicinity could not safely make their way towards Puffin at the time. The UK Fisheries Patrol boat, Lilybet, was the first responder before concerted efforts from the Argentinian SAR Puerto Belgrano and MRCC Taiwan contacted a fleet of fishing vessels closer to Ian's position, able to get to him in a safe and timely manner. Soon there were 3 fishing vessels heading towards Puffin, the Zi Da Wang, Farda Cai, and YUH Sheng N Degree 1. At 1815 UTC, the Zi Da Wang arrived first on the rescue site and positioned herself to the west of Puffin to windward in order to cut the wind and flatten the sea for Ian, enabling him to maneuver at close quarters while discussing on the VHF the best way to transfer from the injured Puffin to the rescue vessel. At 1930, the GGA were informed by the SAR Puerto Belgrano that Ian was on the Zi Da Wang, bruised, cut, scraped, still suffering from his back injury, but safe. The vessel is believed to be bound for Cape Town, South Africa, where Ian will be put ashore. Puffin completed a first circumnavigation with Istvan Koper in the GGR in 2018, then newly completed a second one with Ian, completing 79.4% of the round-the-world course, with one stop in Tierra del Fuego to repair the hydrovane. Alas, the brave Tradewind 35 was a hazard to safety and had to be scuttled before Ian left his home for the last 7 months to board the Zi Da Wang. The GGA wished to thank the SAR Puerto Belgrano in Argentina and the MRCC Taiwan for an exemplary international coordination of Ian's rescue, as well as the shipowner, masters and crew of the FV Zi Da Wang and the FV Cai and YUH Sheng N Degree 1. MRCC UK and GRIZ NEZ France were also on standby.